Story 1. The Lost Highway Station.
It was a chilly, moonlit night when I found myself stranded on a desolate country road. My fuel gauge needle had mercilessly touched the empty mark, leaving me with no other option but to search for a nearby gas station. A flickering neon sign caught my eye through the dense mist, spelling out the words, "Highway Station." Relief washed over me as I pulled my car alongside the worn asphalt and stepped out into the eerie silence. Determination fueled my steps as I approached the weathered building, its cracked windows and peeling paint adding an air of mystery. The rusty bell above the door jingled with a haunting echo as I pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit interior. A musty scent filled the air as I ventured deeper into the station, the flickering fluorescent lights casting long, foreboding shadows on the worn linoleum floor. Shelves lined with dusty products stood as silent witnesses to time's passage, and a worn-out cash register beckoned from the counter. As I approached the counter, an elderly man emerged from the shadows, his tired eyes seemingly filled with an unspoken warning. His voice quivered as he offered his assistance, but there was an indescribable unease in his demeanor, a subtle hint of concealed darkness. Despite the gnawing apprehension that tugged at my senses, I followed the old man to a corner of the gas station where a solitary pump stood sentinel. Its groaning creaks filled the heavy silence as the old man began pumping the fuel, his gaze fixated upon me, as though trying to convey a message hidden behind the wrinkles etched on his face. When the pump clicked off, he handed me the nozzle with a lingering grip, his eyes filled with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. His voice dropped to a whisper, barely audible, as he uttered, "Beware the road ahead. Once you venture forth, the veil may be lifted, revealing the horrors that lie in wait." Startled by his cryptic words, I glanced out toward the mist-shrouded road, curiosity mingling with trepidation. The allure of the unknown whispered to me, urging me to dismiss his warning as mere superstition. With a nod of gratitude, I thanked the old man and hastened back to my car, the faint scent of gasoline clinging to the air. The engine roared to life as I turned the ignition key, fueling my determination to push forward. Ignoring the creeping doubts, I embarked upon the road that promised escape. The mist enveloped me, shrouding my surroundings, and a sense of anticipation mingled with the cool night air. Minutes stretched into hours as I delved deeper into the heart of the night, the road unspooling before me like a mysterious tapestry. Whispers, barely audible, danced on the wind, their haunting melodies echoing through the lonely expanse. Shadows flitted at the corners of my vision, their presence elusive yet undeniable. A sudden realization tightened my chest, a knot of fear and exhilaration entwined. I had been driving for far too long, the passage of time distorted by the road's malevolent grip. Panic clawed at my throat as I slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching in protest as my car skidded to a halt. Heart pounding, I stepped out onto the forgotten pavement, the world around me plunging into a sickening revelation. My car, once a symbol of freedom, now lay decaying before me, a monument to years of neglect. Rust gnawed at its metal frame. Vegetation consumed its once sleek lines, and a cold emptiness settled within me as I gazed upon the relic of my past. A mixture of horror and disbelief coursed through my veins, but the inexplicable pull of the highway station drew me forward. The neon glow beckoned, casting an ethereal light upon the mist-laden road. Ignoring the gnawing sense of foreboding, I pressed on, unable to resist the temptation that lay ahead. Crossing the threshold of the station once more, I was met with the same dimly lit interior, now suffused with an oppressive atmosphere. Shadows seemed to writhe along the walls, the air thick with a palpable malevolence. The old man stood behind the counter, his eyes filled with sorrow and a hint of resignation. With a heavy sigh, he spoke in a voice laced with regret, "You have returned, as all others before you. Lost souls bound to this place, trapped in an unending cycle of torment and despair." His words, though laden with sorrow, held a haunting allure. I couldn't tear my gaze away from him as he continued, "The road you traversed was a gateway, a portal into the depths of this purgatorial abyss. Here, time stands still, and the world outside fades into oblivion." Tears welled in my eyes as I realized the gravity of my decision. I had sealed my fate, forever consigned to wander this desolate station, reliving the same desperate search for escape. The old man's words echoed through the chamber of my mind, a constant reminder of the choices that had led me to this wretched fate. Days turned into nights, nights into eternities, as I roamed the haunted station, my essence fading into a shadow of its former self. The flickering lights, once a beacon of hope, now taunted me with their incessant dance. The whispers on the wind grew louder, morphing into tortured cries of lost souls condemned to the same fate as mine. In a futile attempt to retain some semblance of sanity, I penned my tale, my desperate plea for salvation. The pages filled with words that begged to be understood, to break the cycle that bound me. But each time I returned to them, they had become nonsensical scribbles, a testament to the unraveling of my very existence. Now, as you read my story, know that the choice is yours to make. Heed the warning or disregard it, for you tread upon the precipice of a journey into darkness. The lost highway station waits, ready to ensnare those who dare venture forth. May your decision be one that brings you solace, for once you step onto that road, there is no turning back, and your fate may be sealed within its desolate embrace.
Story 2. Midnight Gas Station Pact.
On a desolate country road, I found myself driving late at night, my fuel gauge dangerously close to empty. Panic gripped me as I realized the possibility of being stranded in the middle of nowhere. Just when hope seemed lost, a flickering light caught my attention in the distance. Relief washed over me as I pulled into the small, rundown gas station named Midnight Oasis. It was a place frozen in time, forgotten by the world. With trepidation, I stepped out of my car, the chilly night air sending shivers down my spine. As I approached the ancient pump, a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness. He wore a tattered coat and a worn-out hat, his face obscured. Leaning on a gnarled cane, he moved towards me with an eerie grace. Running low, "Are we?" the stranger whispered, his voice carrying an otherworldly tone. Nervously, I nodded. "Yes, I desperately need fuel." "Is the station still open?" A sinister smile played on the stranger's lips as his eyes glowed with an unnatural light. "For you, weary traveler, it shall remain open. But remember, every wish has its price." Confusion and fear consumed me as I asked, "What do you mean?" With his grin widening, the stranger replied, "I have the power to grant you one wish, but in return, I require your soul." My heart raced, torn between desperation and the unnerving offer. Despite my better judgment, I gave in to my desperation. "I need to see my wife one last time. Grant me that wish." The gas station was suddenly engulfed in a thick fog, obscuring everything from sight. I felt a chilling presence enveloping me, and as the fog lifted, there stood my wife, Sarah. Her form was ethereal, bathed in a haunting glow. Tears streamed down my face as I reached out to touch her, but she remained intangible, a mere apparition. Her voice echoed on the wind, a faint whisper. "I love you, Daniel. Find happiness and let me go." Before I could respond, darkness swallowed me. When my senses returned, I found myself back in the gas station, but something was different. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows, and the stranger, now revealed as an otherworldly entity, stood beside me. "Your wish has been granted, but your soul belongs to me," the entity declared, its voice echoing with a haunting resonance. Despair gripped me as I realized the true horror of my decision. I was trapped, condemned to pump gas in the afterlife. Each night, phantom vehicles arrived, their drivers bound by their own ill-fated deals. Forever tormented by the consequences of my desperate wish, I became another lost soul, forever trapped in the midnight gas station.
Story 3. Echoes of Retribution.
On a desolate country road, veiled by the moon's pallid light, a sinister tale unfolds. With every step I took, the jagged edges of the night seemed to close in around me, amplifying the unease in my heart. It was on this forsaken path that I encountered the midnight station, a haunting backdrop to the grim events that were about to unfold. As the tires of my weary pickup truck crunched against the gravel, the scene before me emerged. A gas station, marred by time and neglect, its faded sign barely clinging to the facade. The air grew heavy, filled with a sense of foreboding that seemed to emanate from within the dilapidated structure. In the dimly lit convenience store, shadows danced in a macabre waltz, casting eerie silhouettes upon the worn linoleum floor. My gaze fixated on a figure cloaked in darkness, their face concealed behind a menacing mask. Time stood still as the ominous intruder wielded their weapon, a catalyst for the impending tragedy. With a flash and a deafening blast, a life was extinguished, the echoes of that fatal moment reverberating through the stillness. Shock and terror held me captive, my senses overwhelmed by the abruptness of the violence. The delicate balance between life and death had been shattered, and I found myself ensnared in a sinister tale spun by fate itself. From the depths of the shadows, a spectral presence materialized, draped in ethereal robes that billowed as if stirred by an unseen wind. Their identity obscured, they embodied the arbiter of destiny, summoned to mete out judgment upon those caught in the web of their own deeds. It was here, in the crossroads of the afterlife, that the deceased robber and fallen customer were brought face to face with their destiny. In a voice that seemed to resonate from realms beyond, the enigmatic figure passed their verdict upon the two souls. The robber, their eyes filled with desperation, sought absolution, a chance to undo the atrocities committed in their final moments. But the figure's countenance remained unmoved, their words carrying the weight of an irreversible decree. "Return you shall," they intoned, "to the realm of the living, where the burden of your transgressions shall bear down upon your soul." A surge of realization surged through the robber, mingling regret with the knowledge of their imminent return to a world steeped in torment. With a touch that sent shivers coursing through their ethereal form, the figure banished them back to the mortal plane, where their sins would become their eternal penance. In contrast, the fallen customer received a different fate, a glimmer of respite amidst the darkness. The figure extended solace, their touch radiating serenity, guiding the lost soul towards a realm free from the torments of the earthly existence. As I bore witness to this spectral reckoning, a chill gripped my very core. The boundaries between the seen and unseen had shattered, exposing a reality more complex and enigmatic than I had ever fathomed. With each step I took, the weight of the unknown pressed upon me, the midnight station becoming a haunting symbol of the delicate balance between the realms of the living and the dead. Haunted by the secrets unearthed on that fateful night, my curiosity became an unrelenting force, propelling me toward the truth lurking within the shadows. Little did I know that my journey would take me down treacherous paths, where the lines between life and death blurred and the consequences of our actions echoed across eternity. In the end, I would confront my own judgment, standing at the precipice of retribution, my existence teetering on the edge of everlasting consequences. The echoes of the midnight station would forever reverberate, a reminder of the eternal dance between darkness and redemption.